All right. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to all 12 of you who've tuned in for every episode. I'm Derek.
12. That's generous.
In the middle, we got Frankie. I'm not saying 12 overall. I'm saying that people have tuned in every episode. We didn't do one last week because the Yankees were down 3-0 in the World Series, and I just couldn't stomach going on camera again in public.
I think 12 is like the combined age of our viewers.
Maybe. We'll see.
That's not great.
I gotta look at the analytics, but hey, we're doing better. We got over 100 subscribers now. We're building. Yeah. We're going. Not bad for a first-year football show. It's like not like anybody else covers football or anything like that. So
yeah, no, we're uncharted territory here. We're breaking new ground.
Our goal
no one else covers football quite like we do.
Yeah,
exactly.
Our goal is to take down the Pat McAfee show by the end of the season. So that's the goal. That's the goal. All right, so let's talk about the NFL, shall we? The Chiefs beat the Bucs. They are undefeated. Mahomes clutching up, and he's been connecting with Deandre Hopkins. Justin, why don't you start us off talking about that game?
Yeah, it's another classic Chiefs performance, right? Just kind of like going through the motions. They kind of let Tampa Bay hang around, and then the Bucs decide, we're gonna go to overtime. We're not gonna try to beat them now. And then Mahomes goes into Mahomes mode and just marches down the field. Like, just can't stop him. Hits Kelsey and Hopkins over and over again. And it's having Hopkins there adds such a new dynamic to that offense. And they've got Kareem Hunt running well. So they're looking a lot better on offense. But again, it's like duct tape and like chicken wire. Like,
they get it done. They just keep winning. They just keep winning. Frankie, thoughts on the Chiefs? Are the Chiefs going to do it? Are they going to run the table?
I don't think so. I mean, there have been better teams in the past than the Chiefs this year that were not able to go undefeated. I mean, the 07 Patriots, I thought for sure that team was going to go 19-0. Even think about a couple years ago, the 2015 Panthers, when they were just running through everybody, they didn't make it. Like the 2011 Packers, I could just name all these teams that were better than the Chiefs are right now, and they weren't able to go undefeated. So I don't think it'll happen, but it is amazing that this Chiefs team, despite the fact that they continue to not be all that impressive, they have a bunch of guys injured on offense, and they just keep churning out wins. They just keep pulling it off. Hopkins, as Derek mentioned, what a great addition that he's been for Kansas City. Already a couple touchdowns yesterday. Kelsey continues to get better with every week, and I know a lot of the discussion is going to be about Todd Bowles going for 2. Look, I'm never a big fan of that move. Call me ultra conservative, but I'm never a big fan of. Or I'm not like I don't blame a coach for when you're down 1, just kicking the extra point. However, I can see the argument because you're on the road, and if you give the ball to Mahomes, if you lose the coin toss, you're probably not getting the ball back. So I kind of understand the argument. I understand the predicament that Todd Bowles was in, but he rolled the dice, ended up not working out for him, and Kansas City goes to 8-0 on the season.
Did you see that?
I think the Bucs go for 2 if they're like 6-2 at this point, right?
Yeah.
Or if their season's gone, but they're 4-4. They're trying to stay in the playoff hunt, down a couple of receivers. So you have to play the math there. Like, you have a 50-50 chance to get the coin toss. Try it out. I mean, I can see why they didn't go for it.
So a few years back, there was a guy who applied to be a head coach for a football team and used his Madden resume as his job application.
Was it you?
No, it wasn't me. It could have been because we had the same strategy. It was like always go for 2, no matter what. Never punt. Always go for it on 4th down. Throw bombs. And I don't know. That's what that made me think of. Got to go for 2 every time. if that guy, yeah. So all right. Rams comeback win against the Seahawks. Stafford to Demarcus Robinson. FTW. Justin, you want to fire away on the Rams getting the big comeback win against the tough Seahawks?
Yeah, I mean, the Rams, they were struggling. They were down Puka Nacua, who got kicked out for a questionable punch. I mean, it wasn't like a haymaker. He just kind of it was like a shove more than a punch. But he got kicked out. So Cooper Kupp takes over. They stay in it. Geno Smith throws an inexplicable interception in the end zone for a 103-yard touchdown. So, they go to overtime, and Stafford just drops an absolute dime. And Demarcus Robinson does a great job of keeping the defensive back on his side and just keeping him away from the ball, and makes a one-handed catch diving into the end zone. couldn't end the game in a better way if you're the Rams, but it couldn't end it in a worse way if you're the Seahawks.
Frankie, do you concur?
I concur. There were a couple things this week that if you watch this game, you'll see things you'll never see before. There were a couple things that happened this week that I can't remember calling, and it must have happened before, but I can't remember a one-handed touchdown catch to win a game, which is what Demarcus Robinson was able to do on a great throw by Stafford. Man, Stafford is just – my opinion on him has changed over the years. Back in the day, I thought, oh, he's just that guy in the Lions that never gets it done. The guy is incredible. Like, you watch him on the line. I mean, the Lions also didn't really have a lot of talent for him. But now he goes to the Rams. He's clutch. He keeps making big throws like this. He's won a Super Bowl. So that was just another great drive, another great game-winning drive for Stafford there. I agree with you on Puka. I mean, it was not exactly a Tyson knocking out Spinks kind of punch. So I don't think there was any need for, I don't think there was any need to eject him. But Rams pick up that big victory there. Geno Smith with some questionable play calls near the goal line. Maybe it was just the Rams defense being that good, but especially that pick six, it didn't seem like there was like anyone, there wasn't a receiver within like 5 yards of the guy. So it was not the best game for Geno. He did help himself out there at the end with that nice final drive to tie the game up. But Stafford and the Rams, they had the ball last, and in overtime, they were just able to pull it off and get the win. And now the Cardinals lead the NFC West, which is quite crazy to think about because I don't think of the Cardinals as being the best team in the division, but they're able
back
to
to Jets. Geno Smith, like he was
exactly
like he had a flashback. Like I just throw it.
He went back to the Geno Smith that Giants fans were like scared of when it was announced that he was starting over Eli Manning. Like that was the guy that everyone was like, no, why is this guy why are you starting this guy over Eli Manning? So yeah, it's probably the worst throw I've seen Geno make as a Seahawk.
Eagles have won 4 in a row. Saquon getting it done. Justin, you want to talk a little bit about that game? The Jags go down 28-23.
The Eagles came back off their bye, and they remembered they have Saquon Barkley, who is actually pretty good.
He's not bad. He's
pretty
good.
Pretty good. I don't know if you saw the reverse hurdle.
Oh my gosh.
No, I didn't see it.
Oh,
I mean, I don't think it looked that great, but it was pretty impressive. But it's also one of those things where you're like, if you're the Eagles, you're like, don't do that because you're like asking to get blown up. But It was like he like got caught like turned around from the guy and like just jumped over him backwards. I'm like, man, come on, that's not fair.
Different kind of athlete. I mean, some of these guys have more athleticism like in their pinky nail than we'll ever have in our entire lives. Probably all three of us combined. And I think he's one of those guys. Frankie, what'd you think about that game?
The highlight of that game for me is going to be the Saquon backwards hurdle. That is another thing I have never seen. NFL, college, high school, never seen a play like that. The athleticism of Saquon Barkley, the backwards hurdle, that's something you'd see in like the old NFL Street video game. Like it was just crazy to see that kind of play. And yet again, it reminded me, oh yeah, the Giants thought that Daniel Jones was more important to keep than Saquon, but well, I'll leave that for then. I'll never get over that as long as I live. But the Eagles are looking, despite Nick Sirianni's best efforts, the Eagles keep winning. Hurts is getting better with every week. He's reverting back into 2022 Hurts. Saquon continues to be awesome. Smith had an awesome touchdown, one-handed catch in the game. And yeah, I mean, this was a game between two coaches who are on the hot seat right now. I don't know how Doug Peterson still has that job in Jacksonville. And Sirianni, I mean, the Eagles keep winning, so they keep saving him. But the Eagles are looking more and more respectable, which each week they're getting back into form here. And it's going to make for a very interesting division race between the Eagles and the Commanders. Justin, you were saying something?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sold on the Eagles. I mean, they barely held off the Jags here. I mean, the Jags are bad. And I mean, they let them back into it. So there's still some problems there. And I think the Commanders are still the team to beat in that division. But, I mean, you can't ignore the wins. They've won 4 in a row now. So maybe.
Yeah.
I'm gonna check out this backwards hurdle. I'm gonna put it up on the screen because I haven't had a chance to watch it. So let's see. Oh, nice move there.
Wait, here it comes.
Oh, there we go.
It's amazing. Have you ever seen that? Not even in Madden.
That's an incredible move.
Just ridiculous. He's an unbelievable athlete.
All right, so let's move on. Let's talk about the Ravens. They embarrassed the Broncos 41-10. Derrick Henry, incredible. Who wants to take that? Let's give it to you, Frankie.
Yeah, it's right now, when talking about who the best team is in the NFL, you can make the argument for the Chiefs. I think it's probably the Lions right now, but the Ravens are certainly in that conversation with every week. Their offense continues to be I can't think of another offense. Maybe the greatest show on turf when they had Kurt Warner and Marshall Faulk, but an offense that could potentially have the MVP and the Offensive Player of the Year on the same team, and that's very much possible right now with Lamar, with Derrick Henry. They are an electrifying 1-2 punch, and look, Denver is. They're an okay team. They got a ways to go. I like Bo Nix, but they're not in the Ravens. Although it's crazy to think the Broncos right now, if the season went in today, the Broncos would make the playoffs, which is what you wouldn't think about that. But they're 4-3. I think they 4-3, and they're a game up over Cincinnati, who I think is going to overtake them. But yeah, Denver is an okay team, but they're not an amazing team, and we saw that. We saw what a great team is with the Ravens, with Lamar, who's playing the best football we've ever seen him play. Derrick Henry, has found the fountain of youth. I think that was his 100th career touchdown. He right now is on pace for 2,000 rushing yards, which is, I think he's already done it once. So to think that he could possibly do it twice, just shows the just absolute amazing skill that he has. But yeah, the Ravens, that was no contest there. Again, Denver is a fine team, but Baltimore just had their way with them.
Yeah. Justin, Frankie and I both had the Ravens to go all the way. How are we looking at this point in mind?
I mean, it's still looking pretty good. I do have concerns about their pass defense. They've allowed a lot of passing yards. So, I mean, they beat the Broncos, who aren't a prolific passing team. I mean, Bo Nix has been playing better, but he's still not – I don't think he's great. But, yeah, like their offense is going to be a force to be reckoned with. But what happens in the winter when they get into the snowy games? I mean, they've got the grinded-out team with Henry. What happens if the offensive coordinator decides, you know what, let's throw it 40 times like they did against the Browns, right? And you end up losing that game because you forget you have Derrick Henry in the backfield there. So it's going to come down to probably coaching and defense for the Ravens. I think there's going to be them and the Chiefs. But the Chiefs' defense looks really good, so it's hard to say who's going to win that one because that's going to be a good matchup. But it's amazing with players like Derrick Henry, Matt Stafford, Randy Moss years ago. How bad they look, how washed they look, and then they get in a winning team with actual players around them, and they just resurrect their careers.
Yeah.
And Henry was already good in Tennessee, even with like 9 in the box at times. But now he's just like he's feasting.
We should talk a little bit about the Saints firing Dennis Allen after the 2-7 start. Not a surprise, Frankie.
No, I mean, it is a shock if you think about the fact that they started off 2-0 and they scored 40 points. But looking back on it, I was thinking, who did they beat in those two games? Because it seems like it was so long ago. Who did they beat in those two games? And it was where they scored 40 points. And it was the Panthers, who they have their own problems. I know they won on Sunday, but they have their own issues. And the Cowboys. And we've now seen the Cowboys. They were a fraudulent team coming out of the gate. They are not in any way, shape, or form a Super Bowl contender. So those were clearly just two bad opponents, and the Saints just, were just able to exploit them. But yeah, their offense has just completely fallen apart. I know there's injuries, but the offense has totally fallen apart. He was already on thin ice anyway, so, you might as well move on from him here. But yeah, not a surprise, especially after that game, after that performance, losing to the Panthers like that. It was not a surprise that Dennis Allen becomes the second coach to be fired.
Frankie, I got to say, I'm digging the goatee there. You look at least 25. I mean, you've added a couple of years.
This only happens when I forget to shave. That's really
it's the off season.
Yeah.
Like if you're allowed to have facial hair in the off season, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. My uncle used to say you need to stand a little closer to the razor. Is what he would say. that would be what he would say when I had to have facial hair like that. All right, Justin, you want to do your power rankings here since you went ahead and ranked everybody for us? We'll put it up on the screen. We got a new screen alert. Screen alert. Whoop, whoop. And I think we should do this every week at least, from here on out. Once we get halfway through the season, I think it becomes pretty relevant, and we'll see who can stay on top. You still got the Chiefs at number 1.
Yeah, I mean, you really can't argue with wins. The Chiefs haven't looked the best out of all these teams, but they just get it done, right? So I have them at number 1. Lions, man, they've been looking really good. They haven't had to do much on offense because their defense has been so good. Jared Goff has been super efficient, probably the most efficient quarterback in the league. Jaden Daniels is right up there as well. So I have the Lions number 2, even without Aiden Hutchinson being out for the season. Ravens number 3. They've been playing way better on offense than most of the teams on this list. Bills at number 4. They've got a better record than the Ravens, but they've looked shaky at times. They had to kick a long field goal to beat the Dolphins. So that was kind of a weird outcome for them. Commanders at number 5. I have them here because they didn't look great against the Giants. They let the Giants back into it, even though they held Daniel Jones to 0 yards passing at the half. We'll talk about that later. Vikings number 6, 6-2. Still looking good, but still questions on defense. And Sam Darnold is still got a lot of doubters, even though he's really playing really well this year. Steelers at number 7. They've looked really good lately. Big game coming up this weekend for the Steelers to see if they're for real. Packers just lost to the Lions, so they're out of the division lead. So they're going to have probably a playoff team, but that division's tough. Texans at number 9. They are reeling with injuries. 2 receivers down. They can't protect C.J. Stroud. They looked really good to start the season, but now they're looking a little shaky. And then the Eagles at number 10. You can't ignore a 4-game winning streak. I mean, no matter how bad the teams they're beating are.
Frankie, are you pretty much in lockstep, or you got any qualms here with Justin's rankings?
No, I'm mostly good with it. I'm trying to think if there's any. I mean, I still don't trust the Eagles, but I understand, as you mentioned, 4-game.
Yeah, I mean, number 10 is like whatever. I mean, you can name like 4 or 5 teams that go there, but the Eagles are right now on a winning streak. That's the only reason they're ahead.
I was going to mention that the Lions. That's a fine pick, being number 2. We didn't talk about that. That was a great victory going into Green Bay. And that kind of all-around performance after you lost Hutchinson, to put on that kind of great performance on both sides of the ball. The Lions are for real, man. They are, to me, without a doubt now, the best team. Now that the Niners have fallen off a little bit, the Lions are the best team in the NFC. And the only thing that's going to stop the Lions is potentially Dan Campbell doing something stupid with coaching. But and also, Jordan Love, gosh, he's so frustrating to watch. That pick 6. Like, what is he doing? Again, he is the next Brett Favre. He's Brett Favre. We've talked about it. He's Brett Favre 2.0. This the dumb mistakes that he makes. I know he's young, so hopefully he grows out of it. But yeah, there was no reason to throw the ball that led to the pick 6. No reason for it at all. But the Lions just had a great all around victory.
Yeah.
Who would have thought that we'd say the Lions are the best team in the NFC ever?
That's football, Susan.
Like, I mean, like Saints, same to the Saints. Like when they got good, when they got Breeze, like nobody thought the Saints would ever be good. So it just goes to show that any team at any given time could be good or terrible, right?
Yep.
And on any given Sunday. So let's talk about the Jets.
Thursday or Monday.
Yeah, or Monday. Yeah, now.
Or Saturday.
Yeah, we need to update that aphorism, I guess. So Jets upset the Titans 21-13. Rodgers. Obviously, good day, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Justin, you told me that it sounded like he was looking a little bit better this week.
Yeah, it's like week to week. It's kind of like he's in hospice, like football hospice. Like, oh, he looks real good today. He's talking, he's eating on his own, right? And then next week it's like, I don't know.
He remembered my name. He remembered my name. I showed him an old photo, and he said it was Uncle Joe, and he was right. All right, so
yeah, similar to that. Like, but yeah, I mean, he looked good against the Texans. Again, the Texans had troubles. Jets sacked C.J. Stroud 8 times. He's running out of guys to throw to. So, I mean, you kind of put an asterisk on this game. The Jets still did Jets things. They had rookie Mike Corley. He did that stupid. I don't know why people do this, man. Like, why do you drop the ball ever when you're going to the end zone?
Right.
Even when you're in the end zone, why drop it? Like, make sure you're all the way to the back of the end zone, then you can spike it or something. But this guy just drops the ball before the end zone. He thinks he's awesome because he's got his first NFL touchdown, and then really in reality he's probably benched for like 2 games.
Embarrassing, and he'll be embarrassed about that forever. All his friends are ribbing him. My favorite end zone celebration is when someone does the slam dunk on the overrights or the uprights there.
Yeah.
There's no risk of dropping the ball, and it's kind of like a slam dunk competition. I love it. That's my favorite. Frankie, what'd you think of Devontae Adams?
I thought he was much better. I thought the Jets looked. I mean, they couldn't look any worse than they had the previous couple of weeks. So I thought it was an improvement for them. My takeaway, actually it wasn't my main takeaway was about the Jets. It was about how bad the Texans' offensive line is. Like, I know C.J. Stroud has regressed a little bit this year, but I mean, it doesn't help when you have no offensive line like that. You got to protect. With a quarterback of this talent, we saw last year what he can do. You got to be able to protect him. So for the Texans' sake, let's hope that they're able to fix that in the offseason. Because again, he's a darn good quarterback, and you want to see him be able to be at his full potential and not have to immediately go and try to throw the ball when there's already defenders in his face. But yeah, the Jets, they looked a little bit better on the offensive side. I agree with you about the rookie, Justin. I don't know why. If I was a coach, the first thing I'd do if a player did that, I would immediately bench him for the rest of the game. I don't know why that's not a thing in the NFL. Why, if you do something that stupid, the coach doesn't sit there. And it's it's accountability. The player will never do that again because you know that they're going to remember that, like, oh gosh, I couldn't get out there and play. So I don't know why teams don't do that. But I mean, this is a new head coach, so I'm not like expecting much from him. But they looked a little bit better on the offensive side. They were not good in the first half. Eventually figured out their footing in the second half. So it was not a great football game. It was a classic Thursday night football game. But the Jets were able to squeak out a win, and now they go up against Arizona, and Arizona is good. But I have a feeling the Jets are going to start to rattle off some wins here, just because everyone's counting them out. Everyone thinks they're done, and they're going up against an Arizona team that's okay, better than the Jets, but they're okay. And I can see the Jets just keeping the season alive and just teasing their fans.
Justin, do you think that Rodgers looked more like he wanted to be there this week than in recent weeks? We were talking about how he just had looked so apathetic.
Right? Like playing well and winning. My concern with the Jets on offense is how much they force feed Adams and Wilson the ball. They combined for 21 targets. The rest of the team combined had 11 targets. So if a team just simply takes away one of those guys, right, like brackets them or something, which they aren't going to do, oh God, my guy's gone. What do I do? So, I mean, I don't think he trusts a lot of his other receivers. He trusts Adams. He trusts Wilson. And I get that, but that's going to come back to bite him eventually. They're going to bait him a few times and get a few picks out of that. And then, the Jets got out-jetted by the Texans kicker. Cam Fairbairn is one of the best kickers in the league, and he missed like 2 field goals. One of them being like pretty much a chip shot. So, I mean, Texans could have still won that game, even with how bad they played. So, I don't know if they're going to take the Cardinals this week. I mean, Cardinals are suspect, but, I mean, the Jets just they always find something to do.
Frankie, it looks like you had something to say, but also I got to say, we got to get some fresh highlights up in this reel here. We got to get some of these
gotta get
TDs.
Gotta get some 2024 Jets highlights. I do have to make one mention. We would be remiss if we didn't mention the highlight of the game. The Garrett Wilson one-handed touchdown catch there in the the second half. All right, it was a catch, not a catch. It counted as a catch on the field, and that was about as close to the Odell Beckham catches I've seen in the league. That was he had 2 great catches in this game. He is if the Jets can get a good quarterback who wants to be there with all the time and around him, then he's going to be a special player for this team. We've seen this before from him, just making great catches, and he did it again on Thursday night.
Can I just say that the NFL definition of a catch has to be one of the most convoluted, confusing rules in all of sports.
You get 2 feet down, you hold possession, you're able to make a phone call.
Unless you get an elbow down or unless you get a forearm down. But if your wrist hits, it's different. But if your knee hits, it's 2 feet, but you can't tap on both the same foot. It's just like, come on, man. Like, the dude caught the ball. It's an amazing catch. Just give him the catch.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Or the ball was not secure when he landed. It was kind of moving a little bit, but he still held on to it, but it's not a catch.
This is stupid.
I hit the wrong button there.
Hate it.
We're moving on to the Giants. They are now 2-7. And Justin, what do you think? They might have to deal Aziz here.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're now in sale mode. I don't think they had a lot of hopes going into this game to begin with. I mean, the Commanders are really good. The Giants are really bad. You got to start thinking about next season. You got to start thinking about that next quarterback you're going to get because you're almost definitely getting another quarterback. Daniel Jones had zero passing yards. At one point, he had -2 passing yards with a touchdown.
Is that bad?
It's not good.
It's not good. Pretty bad. But I mean, then second half they look a lot better. It's like there's such a Jekyll and Hyde team this year, right? Like sometimes they look like they could be a playoff team. Sometimes they just look like the worst team in the league. There's a lot of problems there. It's not all on Daniel Jones. A lot of it has to do with the line. A lot of it has to do with upper management not signing Saquon Barkley again. It's just there's a lot going on there. Brian Daboll said he's going to keep Daniel Jones as the starter. I think it's a punishment, honestly. I think he's like, you're going to see this to term, all right, Daniel Jones?
Frankie, any thoughts?
I really don't have any more thoughts about I will say this. It's not worth getting mad about the Giants anymore. The season's over, and now it's just about getting the best pick that you can, and if you want to
Yep.
get the best pick that you can, you continue to start Daniel Jones, even though we all hate it. Even though he had a horrendous fumble in this game, he makes so many dumb plays. All right, great, he ran over a guy like he was Earl Campbell on that touchdown. Whoop-de-doo. He still sucks, and most of his stats came at the end of the game when the Commanders already had the lead. So
Is he
or had a
basically
huge
discount
lead.
Taysom Hill?
Yes, that's actually unfair to Taysom Hill. Taysom Hill
Discount Taysom Hill.
Yes,
Like he's
that's exactly fair. But it's and I have to. The more I watch this team, yeah, we'll have to see what happens here with Jones. I guess they're just going to play him out because. And even though I'm not sold about Sanders or Beck or any of the other quarterbacks, the Miami, Cameron Ward, I'm not sold on any of these quarterbacks coming out of the draft. Just give me something else. Give me something different. I don't want to see this man on this. This man has been here for 6 years. That was before the pandemic. Daniel Jones has been the Giants quarterback since before the pandemic. This needs to be put an end to, and hopefully that'll come at the end of the year. But the question I have is what's going to happen with Dable here? Because Dable, it seems like he knows that they're tanking. It seems like they know the season's over. So if he's tanking and trying to get, because that's the only reason why you'd start Jones. If he's tanking, does he know that he's coming back? Because I wouldn't consider bringing him back. The first year was fool's gold to me. I wouldn't bring him back. I'd bring in someone else. But that's what I want to know is what is Brian Dable's future?
I mean, Mara actually gave him the vote of confidence, whether you think that's genuine or not.
Shut up, John Mara. You're an idiot.
I mean, so I think Mara, and he didn't give a vote of confidence for Daniel Jones. So I think he knows that he's probably going to give him another chance with a different quarterback. But you also have to think about it this way, right? I mean, if you're looking to next year and you're thinking about bringing in a rookie quarterback, do you really want to just bring in another coach too? I mean, or do you want to just keep the guy in place and just have him kind of ride it out because he knows the system, he knows the players, and then see how it goes. And then as they start to like get better or need a change, then you go with a different guy. But I mean, there's a lot of questions there. It's not a quick fix. Let's put it that way.
I'd get a new coach. Let's rebuild. Let's start over from scratch.
All right, let's talk
Derek's
about
available. Derek, you playing on All Madden yet? I think that's the requirement.
I am playing on All Madden, but judging by the results, you don't want me anywhere near an actual football field.
Okay.
So Bills beat my Dolphins 30-27. Dolphins just disappointing this year. But the Bills now 7-2. Low scoring first half. Allen looked good. Threw an interception for the second day in a row. Frankie, any thoughts on the Bills?
They just keep pulling off wins here, and right now it's between Josh Allen and Lamar for the MVP race. I would probably give the edge to Lamar in that sense, but Josh Allen, if they keep winning and he keeps playing this well, then and it's also crazy to me that a quarterback of his talent hasn't won the MVP yet. So I'd imagine it's coming. So maybe it'll happen this year, but we still have a half a season to go. I mean, there was a time last year where we thought that Brock Purdy was going to win the MVP. So you really have no idea. The Dolphins, to me, this officially put the end to their season. Even though they look so much better with Tua than without, it's still not great. I mean, what's happened to Tyreek Hill is just kind of just shocking. I know that he didn't have a quarterback for most of the year, but it's surprising how bad he's just been kind of non-existent this year. Even Odell is non-existent, and that is sad. As someone who grew up watching Odell, the end of his career, that's disappointing. I know most of ends of careers are not great, but this one is really sad to watch. And it's just been an awful season for the Dolphins, and you wonder if they're going to make changes. I don't think they're going to make changes with Mike McDaniel, but I certainly wouldn't be against it considering how bad the team looked without him, and you would expect the coach would have this team look a little bit better with that. But yeah, the Bills, they got it done, and credit to Tyler Bass, the longest kick of his career, 61 yards, and he's been questioned by Bills fans. He's been doubted by them. He hadn't been really shown up. He had a couple misses the last few weeks. No problem there. He's loved, again, by Bills fans. That was an electrifying kick. And the Bills are 7-2 now.
Justin, any thoughts on Tyreek Hill and why he's kind of circling the drain? Is it age or is it just no quarterback for the first 5 games or whatever? Thoughts?
I mean, if you've ever had kids, you know how many years that puts on your life. So when you have like 20 kids, like you age so much faster.
Oh, gosh,
so I mean,
yes.
I think that's just really what it is. He's a dad, and it's like it wears on you, man.
But there's a lot of dads in the NFL, right? I mean,
Exactly. Patrick Mahomes is 3 kids.
But seriously, I mean, I've said this before about Hill. Like, he's the type of receiver that is purely reliant on speed and athleticism. Like, he's not a great route runner. He doesn't have great hands. You've seen horrible drops from him before. So once that speed starts to fade a little bit, once teams kind of figure you out, it's going to be a lot harder to be effective. And to be fair, I mean, he was playing with like a guy who probably really shouldn't be in the NFL with Skylar Thompson.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, Tua came back, but probably too late. They looked a lot better, like you said, but it's just it was a must-win game that they did not win. And I think now you kind of start thinking about next year, like, what are you going to do? Are you going to try some new guys out? Do you go to someone else while Tua is still fighting off concussions, like keep him healthy, right?
Just as a Dolphins supporter, I can't call him a fan. I can't call myself a fan because I really have lost interest in recent years because of how consistently bad they've been since really the early 2000s. I just want a new quarterback, right? Like this guy, he's going to be dealing with the concussion thing for his entire career, and that makes him totally unreliable as a quarterback, right?
I hear Daniel Jones is going to be available.
Oh, Jesus. All right, let's do players of the week. Players of the week. Enough about that.
Because that's what you want. You want a guy with Tyreek Hill who can't throw it downfield. That's what you want.
All right, so I got Joe Burrow, 251 yards, 5 touchdowns, a very Madden-like performance.
It's an Al Bundy performance.
Yeah, it is. 5 touchdowns in one game. Frankie, who you got?
I'm going to go with Jalen Hurts. He's the catalyst for why the Eagles have he and Saquon, the catalyst for why the Eagles have turned it around. He had 230 yards passing, 67 yards rushing, and 3 total touchdowns. Eagles have now won 4 in a row as they defeat the Jaguars.
Justin?
Lamar Jackson. I mean, 280 yards passing, but just 19 passing attempts. And really, that's the key for the Ravens. Like, Lamar can pass, but you don't want him passing 40 times a game.
I have 270s. 270 or 280? It's 280. 280. All right. That's my bad.
What's your bad? What'd you do?
I had it listed as 270 yards passing. He had 280. I shorted him a first down. I shorted him 10 yards.
Why did you do that? Like,
it's a typo.
How dare you, Derek? Shame on you.
On this stupid Apple keyboard, they put the 7 and the 8 right next to each other.
That's so stupid. Who would do that?
I don't get it. I don't get it.
Because 7, 8, 9? Wait. That's no.
Yeah.
What?
Well, that's a dad joke. That's a dad joke. We get it.
Tyreek Hill has lots of dad jokes.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the New York Football Show, which is quickly becoming just like the football show. Honestly, like we said, the goal is to take down the McAfee Show within the next couple of weeks. So we're
gonna have Aaron Rodgers on every week.
Right, there we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe, all that stuff. And Justin, let's see the T-shirt before we go. What is this? Is Daredevil?
It's Daredevil.
Nice, Daredevil. Sweet. Frankie, you got just no logos, just plain.
Yeah, Under Armour.
I'm also rocking the plain. I'm rocking the Marcus Brownlee style. Yeah, there we go. All right, guys, we'll see.